To celebrate the centenary of the Welsh Highland Railway this year, or even this weekend if you happen to see this video on the day it came out, let's try painting a narrow gauge design, a 1 foot 11.5 inch gauge 064 single Fairlie engine named Moel Tryfan. Before we start though, I'd just like to give a thank you to everybody who's been supporting me on Patreon recently. If you really do like this series of videos and you'd like to help it continue, then please feel free to at least consider becoming a patron from as little as £3.50 a month. It really does help. I'd also like to give a thank you to Mark Seal of the Welsh Highland Heritage Railway for his consultancy on this engine's history. Cheers, Mark. I'm sorry if I got on your nerves at all. With that said, let's paint! I'm going to try out the Boldmere watercolours again, but to change things up, I'm also going to try a set of basic paints from Brunel Franklin. You can get these from B&M Bargains fairly cheap, so let's see if they're any good or not. And because it worked so well with the turbo motive, I'll also try drawing out the basic shapes and outlines to get the basic proportions just about right. But let's see if this messes everything up or not. You'll find a number of moels in North Wales, seeing as moel is Welsh for a type of hill. And I thought I'd try this one of the engine going past her namesake Moel, so Moel Tryfan on the left, Snowdon Mountain on the right, and the lake in between. This is on the preserved Welsh Highland Railway, so if ever this scene were to be recreated, then who knows, maybe there's a chance we might get to see something like this, but just better. The engine Moel Tryfan was built in 1875 at the Vulcan foundry at Newton Le Willows in Lancashire. Outshopped as works number 738, she was one of 2 single Fairlie 064s ordered for the North Wales Narrow Gauge Railway, the other being Snowdon Ranger. The NWNGR, and try saying that more than twice a second, ran from Dinas, at the end of the London and North Western line from Bangor, through what is now the Snowdonia National Park to Beth Gelert. Its raison d'etre was, as is predictable of the area, to transport slate from quarries in the area up to Dinas, where it could eventually end up in Holyhead for export. From Beth Gelert, tracks continued through the Aberglaslyn Pass along the Porthmadog, Beth Gelert and South Snowdon Railway, which was merged with the NWNGR to form the Welsh Highland Railway in 1923. Now the proper railway artist Jonathan Clay has also painted Moel Tryfan as part of his extensive catalogue, so to anyone who says, oh, his painting's better than yours, I know, but that's far from the point of what I'm trying to do here. Anybody should be allowed to have a go at painting if they so wish, and of course you don't have to be up to a certain standard in order to develop your own style. It's been said down the years that in the 1920s, Moel Tryfan and Snowdon Ranger were merged into one engine using Moel Tryfan's top half and Snowdon Ranger's frames. But this has proven somewhat vague, and a more detailed examination implies the frames of Moel Tryfan continued to be used, but the power unit of Snowdon Ranger, i.e. the wheels, cylinders, valve gear, etc., went under the engine instead. But typically, solid detailed evidence of every last nut and bolt on an engine like this is a bit like a second-hand car without a full service history. There's obviously a few black holes. What is certain is the locomotive was fitted with a more curved cab in the 1930s, so it could work over the Festiniog line. So in case anybody wonders, I'm trying to paint the engine in her original, not cut down form. The tragic thing about Moel Tryfan is that, yes, she was broken up for scrap, in preservation. She was dismantled at the Festiniogs works at Boston Lodge in the mid-1930s, initially just for repairs. But unfortunately, the Welsh Highland Railway shut in 1937, and Hitler kind of got in the way of everyone's future plans. And by the time the subsequent war ended, the Festiniog Railway went into receivership and was left as it stood. To give you an idea of how bad the Welsh Highland was hit by the financial crash, the 1929 timetable had just one service each way over 3 days a week. And if you wanted a return journey, you had to wait until the next timetable day. The good news was that in June 1954, the Festiniog Railway Company was taken over by Alan Pegler, who cleared all the company's debts and then transferred his share of the company to the Festiniog Railway Trust, meaning that, with renovation efforts put in by the Festiniog Railway Society, the line could reopen as a preserved heritage line. But the bad news in Moel Tryfan's case was that the 064 single Fairlie was broken up for scrap by the Festiniog Railway Company, not the Society, in 1956, the goal being to raise any spare funds possible. By this time, numerous Festiniog railway locomotives were still in existence, including 4 of the Englands, Princess, Prince, Palmerston and Welsh Pony, and 2 of the double Fairlies, Merthin Emrys and Livingston Thompson, which confusingly was now carrying the name of the 044 single Fairlie broken up before the war and rebuilt in 1999. Festiniog and Welsh Highland Railway history is fabulously complicated and has been known to cause more than a few disputes, but maybe that's what makes it so fascinating to so many people. As for the Welsh Highland Railway itself, well, it was reopened in stages between 1997 and 2010. But the only surviving original Welsh Highland Railway engine is the old Hunslet 262 tank Russell of 1906, which is owned and run by the old Welsh Highland Light Railway 1964 company, now Welsh Highland Heritage Railway. There is of course a Baldwin 1012D now running as Welsh Highland Railway number 590, but if you want to see the original one, you've got to invent time travel first. But if you do happen to do one better than H.G. Wells and Christopher Lloyd, perhaps now you'd like to try and find Moel Tryfan in the process. And the verdict on the paint is, well, the Boldmere works, still, but for the love of God, don't use Brunel Franklins for anything serious, they're just too watery. So there we are. I hope you enjoyed watching this as much as I enjoyed painting it. If you like what you see and you'd like to see more, then please feel free to like, share, subscribe, discuss, contribute to Steam Locos in Profile on Patreon, and why not have a go yourself? Why not paint your engine?